It's the Championship Showdown here at Croft in the Toyo Tyres Motorsport UK British Rallycross Championship. Derek Tohill versus Julian Godfrey for the title, headlining a full day of action. Day 2 of a double-header weekend here at Croft. Yesterday was a day blighted by slippery conditions, heavy rain. It was a real challenge for all involved. But Julian Godfrey came through it to score yet another win, a 4th of the season, and to increase his stranglehold on the championship. He's ahead by 5 points coming into today. Derek Tohill, the only man that can dislodge him. Steve Hill is 3rd in the points, ahead of Andy Grant and Simon Horton.
Steve, it's been quite a long year at the final round here at Croft Circuit. Round 7 yesterday, you had some fantastic pace in the early qualifiers, didn't quite work out for you in the final. Have the guys managed to fix the car overnight?
We hope so. It was all out in practice. It was a throttle sensor and basically the engine shut down and just had tick over, which is not a lot of good against these boys.
Derek Tohill, it's been nip and tuck between you and Julian Godfrey all season. Look at how you're feeling ahead of the action today.
Yeah, feeling great. Sun is shining, a little bit warmer than yesterday, and track is quite nice to drive there at the minute. So, yeah, looking forward to a good day, and it's a win or nothing.
What would it mean to you to win a record 6th British Rallycross title?
Yeah, I'll be very happy to do it. A shame I couldn't do 6 in a row a few years ago, but young Dan Rook took that away from me, took the chance away there. But no, I'd like to win the 6th, have a record that should stand for many years.
Q1 is on the line, and it is Steve Mundy taking on Steve Hill, with Julian Godfrey drawn in this first race for the supercars, and away they blast. Steve Hill up through the gears, down towards Clairvaux corner. Conditions much better than yesterday, much drier and much faster, but the infield is going to be quite bumpy after yesterday. It cut up pretty badly in those wet conditions. So now Julian Godfrey accelerates his way through Hawthorne. Steve Hill behind him. It's still slippery as the road is drying after all of that rain yesterday, and now onto the loose, onto the infield for the first time. So Julian Godfrey leading the race, but not only does he want to beat everybody else on track, he needs to beat everybody on time, whether it's from this race or the subsequent one. And the opposition, of course, Derek Tohill, is drawn in the next heat here. Steve Hill through the hairpin, sideways in the Mitsubishi. Dramas of yesterday hopefully put behind him. He was quickest in a couple of the qualifying runs yesterday, so it was a good start to the weekend. Then it unravelled, and Steve Hill blasts over the timing line, chasing Julian Godfrey down towards Clairvaux now, through that right-hander. Clip the curb, the car pitches out wide, and Julian Godfrey, looking for a record-breaking 6th title in British Rallycross, goes into the chicane. It was here last year, don't forget that he had that monster accident in the Mitsubishi. There going through, Steve Mundy in his Fiesta at the back of the pack. He's fallen away from Steve Hill, who comes now through the hairpin. From the loose, that little strip of tarmac, back to the loose, and over the line, onto his last lap goes Julian Godfrey in total control here. Top racer, top engine preparer, and he's up at Hawthorne now then. So the blue and white Fiesta turns its way through that long right-hander. He's on the power, the car drifts out, balancing it beautifully on the throttle, brakes, goes into the chicane, heads for the loose section once more. And 5 times a champion, Julian Godfrey. He's going to take some stopping today. The pressure really is on Derek Tohill to do it. That's Steve Mundy going through with his earlier Fiesta. It looks like he's losing a little bit of pace as Julian Godfrey then now accelerates up towards the line, and he is going to score first blood today at Croft. He wins his first qualifying race, and straight away with a good time, 3 minutes 9.9, puts the pressure on the opposition. Derek Tohill alongside Andy Grant, Tony Bardi, Simon Horton at the back as we go racing. Race 2 in Q1, good start by Tohill, but Andy Grant gets away smartly, and so does Tony Bardi, having a rare outing. He was really quick yesterday, 2nd in the final. What can he do here? Derek Tohill struggled with really bad visibility in the final yesterday. He's put that behind him now, and he's up front as well as he comes through Hawthorne, but Bardi is crawling all over the back of him. Derek Tohill has not raced a supercar at Croft before, and he's certainly not raced one in the dry, because yesterday was all wet and slippery. So the more he's out there, the more he's learning. Simon Horton, home soil, 4th in the Subaru. Down to the hairpin comes Derek Tohill, pitches the car sideways, and now drops down towards the hairpin. Now he's getting away from Tony Bardi, or is he? No, he's not, because he hits the tar stack. That's going to delay him. Bardi has to go a little bit wider to circumnavigate that, but Derek Tohill is up through the gears. He's over the timing line. The car bouncing left and right as he puts the power down. back onto tarmac. He's got to try and go quicker than Julian Godfrey's 3 minutes 9.969 if he can. Bardi, if anything, is coming back at him. Tony, whose Rallycross career spans, 4 decades, from humble minis up to supercars like this, and he's right there on the back of Derek Tohill, the Irishman. Through the chicane they go. Now onto the loose once more. Grab a gear and down towards the hairpin. Derek Tohill looking strong now. The road getting drier, getting faster, and the shale being thrown into the face of Bardi. Equivalent yesterday, it would have been mud. It was so wet and slippery, and everybody complaining of visibility problems, unless you were out front. Tohill leads over the line. He's had a puff of smoke out of the back of the Bardi prepared Ford in second place. Let's see. It's the Ollie O'Donovan owned car, Tony Bardi at the helm of it, and he's certainly dropping back. Let's keep an eye to the rear of the car. Just then, as he came across the loose, it looked as though there might have been a trace of smoke. Now it's all okay. So Tony Bardi on the tarmac, applies the power up towards the chicane, wriggles his way through that right-left sequence, and he's back onto the loose. In the meantime, Derek Tohill is leading the way, but is this going to be quick enough to go faster than Julian Godfrey? It's pole position for the final. They're already working towards here. Derek Tohill, one at Lyddon, one at Pembrey, one again at Pembrey, and he clips the tyres. More damage to the car, gets all sideways. Tony Bardi starting the last lap, closes right up because of the delay Derek Tohill suffered after getting all sideways, and now you can see the damage to the dog-eared Fiesta up front. Through he goes. Derek Tohill on the limit, overstepping the limit to an extent, so he still leads, but that will have delayed him, and that will go again, setting the best time in Q1. Into the chicane they go now, back onto the loose. How much has that little brush with the tyre stack done to the geometry of Derek Tohill's car, and ultimately to the pace of Derek Tohill's car? Andy Grant's coming under renewed attack from Simon Horton. The two leaders almost as one. Then last corner, Derek Tohill still ahead, but only just. He's not going to go quicker than Godfrey. Tony Bardi ain't going to get past him either. So Derek Tohill wins the race, but his championship rival Julian Godfrey goes fastest in Q1. An all-action start to the day for the supercars. So Julian Godfrey and Steve Hill, fastest and second quickest respectively. Derek Tohill only third ahead of Tony Bardi, and then Andy Grant fifth.
Good time in the bag. Was that the intention, just to get one under your belt ahead of the rest of qualifying? What was the strategy there?
Well, just if I got the start, then I'll just try and get a good clean run, just to see what the pace is, and really decide what tyres to use from now on, because as it's going to get dry, then probably go back to slicks again. But we went on the European slicks for the first heat, and I'd probably stay on them for the second heat, and then maybe the third heat go on to the full slicks if it's dry enough.
It was super wet in round 7 yesterday. That suits you in your car, but you were going pretty well in Q1 here today in drier conditions.
It's Croft. It's always my favourite circuit on the year, so there's always an extra bit of effort at the home event. But you're right, yes, there was very tricky conditions. It's still slippy out there this morning. It's drying up pretty nicely, but last event of the year, home circuit, you're always going to push like crazy.
Q2 about to get underway here at Croft. Lights go green. Andy Grant blasts away from pole. Slow start from Steve Mundy. And a really welcome visitor to the grid, Mad Mark at the back in the pink and black Citroen. Mark Watson, who had clutch dramas yesterday. We've hardly seen him all season, but he can drive, that's for sure. It might be an old car, but he knows exactly what to do with it. He's been very successful in Rallycross in the past. There he is, Mad Mark at the rear of the pack. It almost looks as though he's got a puncture already. The car a little bit soft on the left rear corner, so a pretty torrid weekend. Ain't getting any better by the look of it as he hits the loose for the first time. But Mad Mark then in the battle. The race leader is Andy Grant as they come across the loose for the first time. Simon Horton is second, and third, look, Steve Mundy. And local hotelier Mad Mark dropping away in that ex-Laurent Terretin Citroen in fourth place. Clutch failure yesterday, they've changed it. Had a really busy day trying to get the car back out on track. Life is not getting any better, having missed Q1 today. There is Simon Horton, and he is absolutely flying. This car, a little bit like Steve Hill's Mitsubishi, gets better and better and better each time out. And Simon Horton is throwing everything at this. He's done a few of the Clubman's events in the last 12 months. It's good to have him back in the main British Championship. And he's going after another venerable car, the Ford Focus of Andy Grant, as they come onto the loose here. So it's race 1 in Q2. We've lost Steve Mundy from the fray. That's him done. So it's Grant versus Horton really for race honours. Mad Mark, despite what looks like a deflating tyre, is still going in third place, and Andy Grant now comes over the timing line, another lap in the book. The garage owner down towards Clairvaux corner. This Will Gollett built car turns through the right. Through Hawthorne goes Andy Grant, sets the car up nicely through that long right-hander. So there's a race win on the cards here, but how is the time going to stack up relative to those quicker drivers who we will see in race 2? Mad Mark pressing on in a car that's getting ever more difficult to control as that left rear tyre gets ever soggier. Through the chicane he blasts, Andy Grant in the meantime down towards the hairpin. Sets the car up, finds that strip of tarmac, turns right, back onto the power, drags it out the other side. He's getting away all the while here from Simon Horton, but a big slide there is not going to help life. Onto the last lap now, Andy Grant goes through, much travelled for his Rallycross, a real stalwart of the championship. And he accelerates now through Clairvaux corner and once more up towards Hawthorne. The early generation Ford Focus, still competitive, still rapid. Grant now heads onto the loose section with Mad Mark, and hopefully we can see him back for a full season next year, going through at the rear of the pack. But you can see with that tyre now having gone down, he is struggling. He's going to get a finish, he's going to get some points for finishing, but it's not going to be a great time, sadly, for the multiple Open Rallycross champion. Andy Grant then up towards the line, runs wide out of the hairpin. That's going to delay him a little bit as he climbs the earth there. Checkered flag at the ready. It is a race win for Andy Grant, and Simon Horton not that far adrift at flagfall, but it's a win for Grant. Simon Horton second, Mad Mark comes through for third in race 1 in Q2. Here at Croft, it's the last round of the Toyo Tyres Motorsport UK British Rallycross Championship. This is Q2, and it's blast off, but not for Steve Hill. He goes nowhere. Julian Godfrey takes on Derek Tohill. They're toe-to-toe down to turn 1. Steve Hill gets away now. Julian Godfrey leans on Derek Tohill and grabs the race lead going into Clairvaux corner. These two arguing over the race. They're arguing over the championship as well. Tony Bardi runs third, but Julian Godfrey's Fiesta it is that hits the loose. He was quickest in Q1 and he's outpacing Derek Tohill here. Steve Hill, after that dreadful getaway, trying now to play catch-up. The former rally man hits the loose. This is the view, but Derek Tohill is storming along behind Julian Godfrey, trying to bring down that gap as they get to the hairpin, and indeed he does so. Now can he find a way through? Dust thrown at him now. It was mud yesterday in much worse conditions, but Julian Godfrey has the best visibility, and also he can control the pace now, drive his own race, choose his lines. Godfrey won the opener at Silverstone, won at Pembrey, won at Lyddon, and he also won yesterday here, so 4 wins he's had out of 7 rounds. Derek Tohill drifts out wide at Hawthorne, loses momentum, loses ground. Irish champion, European champ, Tohill hits the loose here. Can he be British champion as well? It's a tall order. Godfrey really only needs to be in the top 3 in the final to secure it, but let's see what pans out. Steve Hill at the back of the pack is still hustling on, trying to close the gap down against Tony Bardi. Derek Tohill again has a tighter line into the hairpin, but runs out wide, loses 3-4 lengths as a consequence. Get the line wrong coming in, you're wrong all the way. Out of Clairvaux goes Julian Godfrey then. He's the man in charge in the championship. He's the man in charge of this race in Q2. Derek Tohill it is there in second spot, but he's losing a little bit of ground, isn't he? He is still learning about driving a supercar at Croft in the dry. Every lap helps. There is Steve Hill at the back of the gaggle, all sideways into the chicane and off the road. Takes a cone with him. Up the escape road goes Steve Hill. Is that a problem that caused all that, or was it driver error? Either way, it looks as though this race is effectively done for him, as across the line comes Julian Godfrey, still looking strong up front now. Onto the last lap goes 5 times British champion Julian Godfrey, and Derek Tohill has fallen away and he's not now looking likely at bringing the gap down again. Through they turn, onto the loose for the last time. Now there is Tony Barney, who was quickest in a qualifying round yesterday in the wet, but he's really struggling in the dry. Steve Hill parked up in the background, so his race goes from bad to worse, but for Julian Godfrey it is looking a-okay. A race win beckons, and therefore he's going to be fastest again in this qualifying round. Checkered flag at the ready, and Julian Godfrey wins his race and goes fastest in Q2, ahead of Derek Tohill and then Tony Barney. Well done, Julian Godfrey. It's looking good for him for the title. So Julian Godfrey quickest in Q2 from Derek Tohill, Tony Barney, and then the race one winner Andy Grant, fourth from Simon Horton and Mad Mark.
Tony, your second out of the year here at Croft in the final round of the British Rallycross Championship. Q2 done. How's it going so far?
That was a really poor showing by myself in Q2. I don't know what went wrong. I just couldn't do anything right. So
The conditions have changed quite a lot since practice. The track's dried.
yeah, I believe they are more challenging today because you don't know which tyre went now because you've got dry bits and wet bits, and with the extra speed you've got bumpy bits. It's quite challenging and difficult, and I've just proved it there by going terribly.
Derek, we spoke to you after practice. It's been quite a challenging morning for you so far. Not for the lack of trying. You've been pushing pretty hard. How's it gone from the driving seat?
Yeah, not too bad. I suppose it's my first time around here in the dry in a supercar, so finding the limit in the dry there. There's only one way to find that limit, obviously, and it's to push on. So I'm pushing on at the minute, and another run in the dry will give us a little bit more track time, and just put Julian under a bit of pressure and see what that leads to.
There is still Q3 to come as the drivers get ready here at Croft. Simon Horton takes on Steve Hill and Steve Mundy in this first race of Q3. The lights in a moment will blink green. The car's released. Who makes the best start? This time it's Steve Hill. Now where is Horton? He should be to the right on the inside, but Steve Hill outpaces him on the run down towards Clervaux Corner. Through they turn then now. So it is Steve Hill who leads the pack as they go into Hawthorne. Horton second, and where in all of this is Steve Mundy? He is third, but not really close enough to challenge, or is he now? Possibly yes, under braking into the chicane. He does come back at the Subaru. The Mitsubishi Evo, however, the Lancer gets away up front. Steve Hill across the loose. The back trying to break away. Steve Hill working overtime to correct it. The road drying throughout the day. It is getting faster throughout the day. The dust is kicked up on line, mud offline, and he comes across the loose section ready to hit the tarmac and pick up the pace once more. Down towards Clervaux, brake late, throw the car in, powering out the other side on the throttle. Steve Hill sideways, change for second. Steve Mundy has gone through ahead of Simon Horton now. So the Fiesta that retired from its race in Q2 looking much stronger now in this third round of qualifying races. Simon Horton is next in the line. Look as they hit the loose. Now can the Subaru go back ahead of the Ford Fiesta? If anything, as they come across that loose section, the gap is widening between the two, although Horton looked pretty quick early on in the day. There is Steve Hill down now towards the hairpin. Race win beckons potentially for him. The cars now run up towards the timing line once more. There is Steve Mundy through. Car pendulums its way across the loose. Simon Horton bounces through behind. The Subaru, a bit like the Mitsubishi, still the car that you perhaps associate more with rallying than Rallycross, but both have a pretty decent pedigree. They're both competitive cars, and Steve Hill leads this race as Horton comes right back up onto the tail of Steve Mundy, now coming into Hawthorne. Through the right they go. Horton wiper on. Home circuit, loves racing here, and he's throwing everything at this. Across the loose they bounce once again. Steve Mundy it is who comes down towards the hairpin, finds a big bump there. Car spits itself into the air. Onto his last lap has just gone. Race leader Steve Hill. It's going to be a good time, but is it good enough to break what's going to happen in the next race when you get the likes of Godfrey and Tohill? A slow Mundy. Horton comes up to overtake, runs completely off the road there, back on again, and of course has to slot back in third place. Simon Horton suddenly got a real kick of pace, tried to go to the outside and run off the road. So he's still fighting, he's still on the tail of Steve Mundy, but he needs to focus on the racing line a little bit better and see whether he can do it properly. That, in terms of pace, looked good, but then he just ran out of room. Across the loose section for the last time. Gap has widened between the pair of them now for second and third places as Steve Hill is on target for the win. Clear road ahead of him, checkered flag beckons, and Steve Hill wins race 1 in Q3. Steve Mundy is going to be second. Simon Horton has dropped away over those last few corners, so the gap widens between the pair. So Steve Mundy takes second, and Simon Horton there in the background is third. The final qualifying race then brings Julian Godfrey, Derek Tohill, Tony Bardi, Andy Grant to the line. The lights are about to go green, engine notes rise, blast off. Looked like a good start from Tohill, and then the car hesitated slightly, so Julian Godfrey does get the drop on him. Bad start in contrast from Tony Bardi. He goes third, and it's Julian Godfrey who leads into Clairvaux corner through turn 1. On board with Tohill now, hard at work. Julian Godfrey, though, who's dominated the day thus far, leads again here. Through the chicane, hits the loose section. Tohill second, Bardi third, Andy Grant fourth. That's the order. Can anybody now dislodge Julian Godfrey from the race lead? Across the loose they come. Derek Tohill does a good job of closing up under braking, but equally Julian Godfrey does a good job of covering off every possible move from Tohill. Defends the inside line, makes sure that the Irishman can't sprint up the inside. Now Derek Tohill's got better pace going down towards Clairvaux. Is there a gap? There's half a gap on the inside. Godfrey, though, is very rapid through the corner and hangs on to the race lead. These two, the only drivers this year that have won a final within the championship, and they've alternated. Godfrey at Silverstone, Tohill at Lyndon, Godfrey at Pembrey, Tohill at Pembrey, Godfrey at Lyndon, Tohill at Pembrey, Godfrey here at Croft yesterday. Across the loose they come. The two star drivers in the championship this year. The Englishman versus the Irishman, Godfrey versus Tohill. This is only Q3 as the tyres go flying once again. They're going to take this battle down to the final. Across the loose, Derek Tohill right on the back then. Can he find a way through as they hit the tarmac once more? Brake hard, go right into Clairvaux. The two of them sprint their way now up towards the right at Hawthorne. Julian Godfrey, with greater experience of the circuit and of the car around here, he's still got the advantage, but Derek Tohill is more competitive than he's been all day. Andy Grant a bit distant there in fourth place. Grant in that Ford Focus dropping away from Tony Bardi as Julian Godfrey dives down now, heading towards the hairpin. He's heading for a race win, he's heading for another fastest time. He's heading, crucially, for pole position in the inside line for the final. Tohill knows he needs to get ahead of him somehow, and there is one more lap to go of Q3. The Irish driver blasts now down towards Clairvaux. Through the right-hander, now back onto the power goes Julian Godfrey. Looks in the mirror and sees that gap has widened ever so slightly. Tohill has dropped back only a couple of lengths, but that's enough to really take the pressure off Julian Godfrey now. Through they come once again across the loose section as a wildly understeering Andy Grant fights the Focus through Hawthorne. Julian Godfrey, with the sun in his eyes, comes down to the hairpin now. Brakes, sets the car up for the tight right-hander. Derek Tohill closes back up under braking. Now the run up towards the timing line, a checkered flag and another race win. Julian Godfrey it is who comes out on top. Derek Tohill takes second, but Julian Godfrey has dominated qualifying here at Croft. So Julian Godfrey is fastest again from Derek Tohill, then it's Steve Hill, third from Tony Bardi, Andy Grant and Steve Mundy rounding out the top six. The Junior Rallycross Championship has given plenty of action all season. And here at Croft, it is about to be resolved. Robert Vittles has been a race winner this year. He tops qualifying from Luke Constantine and Patrick O'Donovan. As far as the championship is concerned, it's between Constantine and O'Donovan. For the grid, Robert Vittles is on pole, Luke Constantine and Patrick O'Donovan alongside. Row 2, Tom Ovenden and Ben Sayer with James Constantine, Harry Garman and then Alfie Porter on the back row as the lights go green and we go racing. Championship to be decided. Patrick O'Donovan's view on the outside line in the sunshine down towards Clairvaux. He's only had the one win all season. Now what can he do to find this championship? He's going to grab the race lead. That's what he can do. That puts him in the box seat straight away. And Luke Constantine down in third place. The man that came oh so close to the title last year, lost out by a point to his brother on the last round, goes through the long right here onto the loose section. So Luke Constantine down in third place, and that really now does put the pressure on. Roberts Vitol's not really fighting for the championship. He's there in second place, and Constantine is in danger of losing out now to Ben Sayer, who comes up round the outside line. Another driver on home soil, just like Constantine is, down through the hairpin. O'Donovan leads the way, but Roberts Vitol's tries to get up the inside of him. O'Donovan needs to keep everybody at bay here. And ideally, the more cars between himself and Constantine, the better, because that takes points away from his championship rival. Over the line they go. One lap in the book. Patrick O'Donovan leads them. He won at Lyddon in August. The car hops its way through Clairvaux. Second, Roberts Vitol's, who dominated at Pembrey on the first visit there early on in the season. But Luke Constantine, he's there in third spot. And actually, having seen off Sayer, he's coming back as Vitol's. Looks up the inside of the chicane. Couldn't quite find a way through there, but not for the want of trying. Nose to tail they come across the loose section now. This is O'Donovan's view. He can do no more. He's up front, he's leading, but he wants as many people as possible between him and Constantine. So Roberts Vitol's is doing an important job for him at the moment. Vitol's now challenging for the lead. Sayer fourth is closing up. Then you've got Tom Ovenden in fifth, also getting onto the back of the traffic. Through they come, across the loose once again. Vitol's on the attack here. The young Latvian driver to the inside line, goes through, brakes very late, takes the advantage away from O'Donovan now. That is bad news for POD for the championship. He hooks a gear going through Hawthorne. Now where is Constantine in all this? He's still third. Can he come back at the two ahead of him now? The gap has come right down, but between second and third, they hit the loose section of the circuit. This is Tom Ovenden's view. He's on the back of Ben Sayer as the cars bounce their way now across that loose section. Roberts Vitol's then, new race leader. Can he get away from O'Donovan, or can O'Donovan go back ahead of him? Down they come through the hairpin. You see how that strip of tarmac has dried out over the course of the day. Running a little bit wide though, there is Luke Constantine in third place. So that will cost him a little bit of momentum in these small engine, relatively underpowered cars. Momentum key to progress. Vitol's through, 4 laps in the book now. Through goes O'Donovan. O'Donovan is on the attack for the lead. He's on the defensive to try and keep Constantine at bay. But right now, it looks as though it's going to be advantage Constantine. Through the chicane they go, back onto the loose section. Patrick O'Donovan, in fairness to him, whether he wins the title or not, has really improved over the season. There, going through, is another of the newcomers, late season Harry Garman. But for the race lead, Roberts Vitol's, who has been competing in other championships this year, including Rally X Nordic, with success in the academy class, he goes through ahead of O'Donovan. Battle on for fourth, looks Sayer versus Ovenden. They're dropping back from Constantine as a result. On board with Ovenden, grabs a gear, closes a little bit onto the back of Sayer. Onto the last lap now go the race leaders. And Roberts Vitol's is on target then for a victory in the race, it seems. But what about the championship? Constantine, with some crude maths, is going to do this by a point if things stay as they are. Through they turn, into the chicane once again, hit the loose. O'Donovan is going to be hugely frustrated with this, of course, having led the race early on. But Roberts Vitol's has done a really impressive job here. Been good through qualifying. Remember, he started on pole position. He heads down to the hairpin. Patrick O'Donovan is going to have to take this on the chin because Luke Constantine is right there behind him. Through the hairpin they come, onto the power, checkered flag at the ready. Robert Vitol's is going to gain the plaudits for the race win, but the championship will go the way of Luke Constantine. The race result, Roberts Vitol's the winner, from Patrick O'Donovan, Luke Constantine third. Ben Sayer fourth ahead of Tom Ovenden. James Constantine sixth from Alfie Porter and Harry Garman. So Luke Constantine by 1 point is the Motorsport UK Junior Rallycross champion. Patrick O'Donovan second, Roberts Vitol's is third.
I'm so buzzing, especially to win it here at my home circuit in front of all my family and friends. It's amazing, and the final was really close, obviously, off the start. I missed the gear, and I was so annoyed with myself after I had done it, but I managed to fight back. I thought to myself, if I don't get past Roberts and I leave Patrick to get away, then that is my championship over.
Yeah, first full season. I'm happy to get second on the championship. It's a shame, it's really heartbreaking only to lose out by just a point, but it is what it is. Stuff happens, it's Rallycross, you just have to get up and get on with it. Really looking forward to next season. I hope I can do well, but just happy with the start I had today. Managed to not break round turn 1. Really made me feel sick, but yeah, no, it was a good race. Robert did well.
The Super National crown has already been claimed. That was taken at Pembrey by Tristan Ovenden. He's unbeaten all season, and he's unbeaten across qualifying as well. Guy Corner, Paige Bellaby, and then Craig Lomax doing the chasing. So the final for the Motorsport UK Super National Rallycross Championship. 6 laps ahead of us, Tristan Ovenden with Guy Corner and Paige Bellaby, both in their Lotus Exeges for company on row 1. Craig Lomax aiming to be the Super 1600 class champ. He's on row 2 with Dave Ellis for company, local farmer Dave Ewan, and then the Belgian yellow blocks on the back row as we go racing. Tristan Ovenden on a dry road with all of the power from the V6 Clio, storms away down towards turn 1. Guy Corner slots in behind him. Now let's see what he can do to take the fight in these conditions to the Clio. There is Dave Ewan. Good to have him back in the British Championship, another one that's been doing Clubman's events of late. And the Belgian driver, yellow blocks with the Volvo. It almost harks back to an earlier age, doesn't it? Like a retro rallycross type car, but it's still competitive in his hands. This is Craig Lomax buzzing along in the Super 1600 spec Citroën down to the hairpin. The Clio V6 dwarfing the low-line Lotuses behind. Guy Corner, ex-Peugeot racer, still developing this Exige, but it's been going really nicely this weekend. The man from Northallerton runs second. Another local ace, Paige Bellaby, third. That car has suffered across the season, across this weekend with transmission maladies. When it goes well. So there's certainly optimism for next year that Ovenden is not going to have it all his own way. But right now, the focus, not the championship, that's done and dusted. He wants to win every final this year, and he's going the right way about it too, isn't he, as he comes onto the loose once again. Yellow blocks there in the big Volvo, keeping at bay Dave Ellis with the little Suzuki Swift, a real little and large battle, which is another of the beauties of Rallycross, the variety, and especially in this two-wheel drive, almost anything goes Super National class. It does bring out all sorts of shapes and sizes. But this car, the initially Jamie Bird built and raced and driven very successfully, Clio V6 now in the hands of Tristan Ovenden, is the benchmark car out of the right of Clairvaux with its big 3-litre engine. It's sort of seen off the smaller, less powerful cars like the Ford car that Tony Lynch had good success with, the X-Ben Power car a few years ago. But you can see that a well-driven car can still take the fight to him. Guy Corner right back onto the tail through the chicane. That is Dave Ewan. Dave Ellis is now ahead of yellow block, so the Suzuki has sorted out the Volvo 240 with that distinctive rear wing on the back. But up front, Tristan Ovenden getting away once more as the power carries him away from Guy Corner. That Lotus still being developed, so perhaps it's a little unfair to expect it to be as good as the Clio, which is a very well developed car and always immaculately presented. I seem to remember the only drama he's had of late. There's been a door parting company at around earlier on, but Tristan Ovenden comes out of the chicane, hits the loose through that chicane. Guy Corner is really good indeed, and he brings down the gap. The Fiesta of Dave Ewan, in contrast, is a little bit lonely as he now heads up towards the right and the left of the chicane. There is Dave Ellis, the Suzuki Swift, carrying the colours that Ben Sayer carries within the Junior Championship. But up front, Tristan Ovenden controlling the gap over Guy Corner, comes across the line once again. Right with him through Clairvaux. Down the gear into Hawthorne, turn right. Guy Corner closing up onto the tail of the Renault, but you still get the feeling that Tristan Ovenden knows exactly how, if needed, he can stretch that gap. Guy Corner, interestingly, has really shaken off the challenge of Paige Bellaby now. There is Craig Lomax. Sadly, Super 1600 numbers have dwindled a bit over the course of the year, but Craig, very rapid indeed. He's giving away lots of horses relative to the Clio. However, he has been the benchmark Super 1600 driver all season. What can he do to try and claim scalps here? Bit too far back, I think, from the overall top three, as through now to start the last lap goes Tristan Ovenden. Over the timing line, down towards Clairvaux, turns through the fast right, burst of acceleration, stand on the brakes, set the car up through Hawthorne on this ever-drying road. Ovenden not getting it too sideways, maintaining traction all the while, keeping Guy Corner at bay, even though Guy again is so good through that chicane. Craig Lomax hustling on further back in the pack, as they're down towards the hairpin for the last time. Tristan Ovenden, the traffic ain't that far ahead up the road, but he doesn't have to worry about Lappery. Instead, he can start to celebrate, because that is 100% every final won by Tristan Ovenden this year. A brilliant season to add to the championship. He has dominated Super National in style. Craig Lomax, the man to beat in Super 1600. And there, Tristan Ovenden does indeed celebrate in style. Tristan Ovenden is Super National champion, and he's a race winner at Croft ahead of Guy Corner and Paige Bellaby, with Craig Lomax coming home in fourth.
Incredible performance from both yourself and your amazing Renault Clio. What a campaign.
Yeah, it really has been incredible. And this weekend's been really tough as well to finish it off. Yesterday in all the weather, and today it's dried out, but the competition was fierce as well today, but it's been absolutely brilliant.
You'd already secured the championship mathematically before this weekend in round 6 at Pembrey. How much did it matter to you to try and complete this clean sweep of victories throughout the entire season?
Yeah, a lot actually. I know we did, like you say, won it in Pembrey, but it didn't really feel like that at the time. Knowing that there's still these 2 rounds to go, I really wanted to do really very well at this.
You pushed Tristan super hard in the final there. A brilliant result to end the year with this new car.
Yeah, definitely. Car's fantastic. It's I'm getting faster and faster with it. And yeah, it's I could have probably pushed a little bit harder, but the loose was that rough. It was just, the suspension needs a lot of work, and it's just as quick as I wanted to go really for the time. So yeah.
It hasn't been an easy season for you at all, and more gremlins this weekend, but fantastic to finish on the podium at your home circuit in the final round of the year.
Yeah, really fortunate to actually end the weekend on a podium due to some issues we've been fighting with all year. We've snapped 3 drive shafts, and we've got quite a lot to work towards next year. Obviously we changed the engine, and so there's little bits and bobs that obviously haven't worked for us. Got a long winter now to iron them problems out, and then we'll be back fighting next year.
Tristan Ovenden is confirmed as the Motorsport UK Super National Rallycross champion. Paige Bellaby, the runner-up. Craig Lomax comes home in third. The category, though, that has the main focus of attention is the supercars. The British Rallycross Championship, then, is about to be decided. Julian Godfrey versus Derek Tohill. Julian Godfrey has been fastest throughout the day, and also he was the man that won here yesterday. Derek Tohill, then, is going to have to work oh so hard. Julian Godfrey only has to stay in that top 3 in order to claim the crown. But let's see what happens in this final round of the championship here at Croft. After qualifying, it's Julian Godfrey for pole position for the final. Derek Tohill second, Tony Bardi third, then it's Andy Grant, Steve Hill and Simon Horton next on points after qualifying.
Derek Tohill, it all comes down to this, doesn't it? The next 6 laps are critical for the outcome in the British Rallycross Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. This is it now. Yeah, have to win, so elbows out time. Yeah, pace between myself and Julian, that third heat was pretty close. There's not much in it, so look, got to get a good start, and it's going to be a good race between us. It's going to be close.
Julian, we've just dragged you out from underneath the rear of your Fiesta. Derek's team up there are changing springs. You've just been changing the alignment slightly on your car. It all comes down to this, doesn't it?
That's right, yeah, just a little fine adjustment on the rear. Now it's all dry, I want to run it parallel, and it was just slightly a bit too much toe in, so just to get in a bit more straight line speed, and a little bit more grip on the fast corners. So yeah, just a little fine tuning, a little adjustment on the dampers now, so now it's fully dry, and on the slick tyres.
So we are ready for action. Drivers, get on board. The fans are ready. And the British Rallycross Championship for 2019 is set to be decided. The Toyo Tyres Motorsport UK British Rallycross Championship's final race has Julian Godfrey on pole position, Derek Tohill and Tony Bardi on row 1 as well. Andy Grant's on row 2, so is Steve Hill. Simon Horton and Steve Mundy are at the back of the pack. Does Julian Godfrey try to win the race as well as the title, or is he going to bank points? Let's find out. Lights go green. Brilliant start by Derek Tohill, who absolutely storms away down towards Clairvaux corner. Tohill it is then who leads the pack. Dust thrown into the face of Julian Godfrey, but what Tohill needs is for other cars to get between him and his rival and push Godfrey down the order. Tohill's got to win the race, come what may, but Julian Godfrey should easily now be the best of the rest. Across the loose they come for the first time. He needs, does Tohill, the likes of Bardi and Hill, somehow to get up past Godfrey. That's not going to be easy. Down he comes towards the hairpin. Derek Tohill wants to try and take a 4th victory of the season. Breaks for the hairpin, turns right. The Irishman then accelerating up towards the end of lap 1 of 6. Steve Hill is 3rd. Now what can he do relative to Julian Godfrey? Can he bring down the gap? Let's see. Back to tarmac, speed building, brake, turning to Clairvaux. Derek Tohill throws the car sideways, maintaining that race lead. He was almost a second to the good at the end of lap 1. Understeer into Hawthorne, corrected nicely. Steve Hill oversteers out wide in the background and therefore loses time relative to Godfrey. So Julian Godfrey right now knows he's champion. He just has to bring the car home. That's Steve Mundy further back. Derek Tohill trying to storm away up front. He's got to win the race. He can do no more than that. So right now, it's out of his hands. He needs Godfrey to have a problem or make a mistake and let Hill and the others up past him. Here is Derek Tohill blasting his way across the loose, which is getting drier and faster and flatter and smoother all the time. Down to Clairvaux. Down again, turn right. Blasts through that fast right-hander up towards Hawthorne. But Julian Godfrey on target to be 6 times a British Rallycross champion, a record-breaking 6th time as well. On board with Steve Hill as he hits the loose. You can see Julian Godfrey up front. He brought the gap down a little bit, look. Tony Bardi struggling. He was really good in the wet yesterday, but he hasn't been able to maintain that pace in these drying, now almost bone dry conditions today. And he's sideways and a half spin at the hairpin doesn't help. Simon Horton gets up almost alongside. Bardi rejoins, went the wrong side of the tar stack there, but he's back into the race. Through goes Derek Tohill then up towards Hawthorne's now. Blasting his way through. Right-hander takes him to the chicane. If he comes back for another season, he's going to really mean business with all the experience gained at the British tracks this year. Mundy versus Grant, battle lower down. Horton onto the tail of Bardi. Andy Grant keeping Steve Mundy at bay. Look, these two absolutely as one. Grant all sideways. Can he hang on to it? He's off the road. Slides across the grass. Mundy goes through. And Andy Grant loses the place, but he's still in the race. Here comes Derek Tohill. Over the timing line once more. The gap building a little bit over Julian Godfrey, but unless Godfrey's got a problem, that doesn't mean anything, because Godfrey, if he stays second, even stays third, will be champion. Hill third, Bardi fourth, Horton then Mundy. That's the order, and there is Julian Godfrey. In fact, up at Hawthorne, looking as though he might just be coming back slightly at Derek Tohill. To the loose they come now. Got a feel for Derek Tohill. He's put all the miles in, coming over from Ireland for every round. Came to Silverstone for a toe in the water, really to gain experience for a European round later in the season that ultimately he never did. So well did he do. He decided he'd come to Lyndon and then, having won there, thought he'd do the whole season. But he's going to lose out, even though he will win seemingly the last round of the championship. He's going to lose out just on points. Julian Godfrey, however, has had his knocks over the last few seasons, with Dan Rook and Mark Higgins taking the title at the last round when he was in contention. So he knows what it's like to win, he knows what it's like to lose it as well. But he's going to be a very happy man, because after years of domination, it's been a tough few seasons, splitting his time between this car and the ex-James Grint Mitsubishi Mirage. Last corner, last lap, last round of the championship. Derek Tohill is going to win here at Croft, but Julian Godfrey, second to the line, is going to be champion for the 6th time in his career. Derek Tohill takes the flag to win, but Julian Godfrey is British Rallycross champion for the 6th time. Derek Tohill celebrates a race win. Julian Godfrey is going to celebrate the title. It's been an amazing battle between the two all season, but Julian Godfrey comes out on top and celebrates in style here at Croft. That makes it 4 wins apiece, illustrating how competitive a year it has been. Let's do the race result. First of all, Derek Tohill the winner by just over 0.6 of a second from Julian Godfrey. Steve Hill third from Tony Bardi, Simon Horton and Steve Mundy.
Julian Godfrey, 2019 Motorsport UK British Rallycross champion. How does that feel?
Real good. No, I'm real pleased with that. Didn't make the best of starts, so I let Derek go in front and followed him around. So yeah, kept moving, let him go a bit. The old sun getting real low now, so a bit of dirt on the old screen. It's quite ideal to see. So really just want to play safe, and second place was enough to win the championship. That's all I had to do.
You showed a bit of emotion after the final. What does this mean to you?
Yeah, no, it's very good. No one else won it as many times as I have, so it beat Aussie at least another 7 years before someone can beat my record. So yeah, but hopefully I can come back here again next year and try again.
Been nip and tuck between you all season long, hasn't it? You didn't even intend to compete in the full season when you started the first round at Silverstone. I know it's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow, but fantastic to have fought for the championship right until the last lap of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. It was 4 wins each in the end, and yeah, it came down to the number of second places. So first time at the British Championship, really enjoyed it, and you know, we probably got up to speed sometimes a little too late in the weekend, which, yeah, look, we have the experience of the British circuits now, so it's good to have that under our belt. And yeah, at least it was a good fight all year, so we just have to wait and see what we do next year.
With the result we got today, we were lucky to get, after all the problems we had earlier in the day, but probably the best we could do being on the second row of the grid.
And a brilliant move on Tony into the first corner, decisive in the outcome of the race?
Yeah, it was fairly decisive, but Tony was quite kind to me. He didn't close the door on me too much, so yeah, I had it. I was on the inside of him. Wasn't much he could do. We're pleased with that. I mean, I'd like to be further up. Obviously, we want to win events, so that's what we're here to do. But it's nice to be sort of really on the pace in both the wet and the dry, and there's more to come.
At the end of the season, Julian Godfrey the champion by 2 points. Derek Tohill, the runner-up, Steve Hill third. But it's title number 6 for Julian Godfrey after another ultra-competitive season in the Toyo Tyres Motorsport UK British Rallycross Championship. Well done, Julian Godfrey, title number 6.